Today we're going to talk about the distributive property. I'm going to give you examples of the distributive property, and I've broken them down into levels. Not so much that one level is more difficult than another, one level is different than another. So the level A's happen to be the easiest ones, I think. The first type looks like this, where you just have two numbers in the parentheses. Now, of course, you know how to do that because that's order of operations. So your choice is you could do 2 plus 8 is 10 and multiply times A, and that would be 10A. That's not really the distributive property. If you wanted to show distributive property here, you would have to distribute the A to the 2 and get 2A, and the A to the 8 and get 8A. It's addition between them, and then you can simplify this by saying 10A. Next one, 4B plus 5. So I'm distributing the 4 to the B and the 4 to the 5. So it's 4B plus 20. Okay, number 3. Now I'm doing the same exact thing, but don't get confused because now I've just put the number on the other side of the parentheses. So it's 4 times C, which is 4C. It's plus 4 times 3, which is 12. So my answer would be 4C plus 12. And I know because you're new to all this that that doesn't look like it's an answer, but it is. That is as much of an answer as we can get at this point. Okay, now we're moving on to level B. Level B, instead of having a number outside the parentheses, now we have a letter or a variable. So what is P times P? Well, that would be P squared. And P times 3 is 3P. So I bring down the plus. Another example. This time I'm putting the P after the parentheses. Again, it's the same thing. You're doing the same exact thing. P times P is P squared. P times 8 is 8P. Okay, let's move on to another example of level B. So this is number 6. Now this time I'm going to put 2P out here and then P plus 4. So now instead of just having a P and getting P squared, I now have a 2. I know that the number in front of that P is a 1. That was understood. We already talked about that. So this would just be 2 times 1, which is 2, and P times P, which is P squared. Then I have 2P times 4, which would be 8P. Okay, now we're moving on to level C. So I can have subtraction in there now. So it'd be 3x minus 6. Number 8. Now I put a negative outside of the parentheses, so it's negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 4. Now I know you're going to look at that and you're going to say, that's minus 4. But remember, it's really plus negative 4. So if you think of it that way, you'll have better luck with it. So negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Number 9. Now I'm going to have negative 3x, x minus 6. So negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times negative 6, because remember this is plus negative. So negative 3 times negative 6 is positive 18, and don't forget that x. And number 10, negative 4x times negative x minus 3. So I have negative 4x times negative x. That would be positive 4x squared. And negative 4x times negative 3, which would be positive 12x. Okay, so now we're going to move on to level D. Level D has some extra numbers in it, like this. This is number 12, I think. So it's 2 minus 2a, a plus 3. So the distributive property, it helps if you put a square rectangle around the distributive property. There it is. This has nothing to do with it. You don't do 2 minus 2, you just bring down that 2. Negative 2a times a is negative 2a squared. Negative 2a times 3 is negative 6a. And if you wanted to write it in the right order, be negative 2a squared minus 6a plus 2. This 2 is positive. Okay, level D continues. Number 13. So now I have negative a times a, that's negative 1a times 1a, is negative a squared, and a negative times a negative is a positive 3a. Number 14. 3 minus 2a minus 4. Again, the best way to do this is to take out the distributive property. Put a box around it so you know that that is the distributive property there. You're just bringing down the 3. Negative 2 times a is negative 2a. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Now in this case, I want to put them in order. I put negative 2a, and I have 3 plus 8, which is 11. Okay, now we're moving on to level E. And we're almost to the end. So the next type, this type, I'm just going to have a negative sign out front. So that means what I'm really doing is multiplying everything in here by negative 1. I'm really taking the opposite of everything. So it would be negative b minus 4. Okay, number 16. Number 16. Negative 1 times b minus 8. So now it's negative b plus 8. Because it's like I'm doing negative 1 times this, negative 1 times this. Number 17. Now I'm putting the 4 after the parentheses. Don't get confused. It's 4 times b is 4b. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Number 18. Okay, this is probably the trickiest kind. This one here has no distributive property. There is nothing next to those parentheses. But you're going to say, well, how about negative 3? If it was distributive, it would be in parentheses like that to show you multiplication. But it's not. It just means minus 3. So what you can really do is just bring everything down. b minus 9 minus 3, negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12. Okay, and then the last type that we're going to do, level F, is going to have some fractions in it. So if I have negative 2a times 1/2 a minus 5, what I'm doing now is negative 2 times 1/2. Remember, negative 2 over 1 times 1 over 2. Cancel, cancel, and I get negative 1a. So I don't have to put the 1 in. I can just put negative a. And negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10a. Because they're both a's, which you're going to learn about later, you can combine them and get 9a. For right now, you could leave it like that until you learn how to combine. Okay, and then the last one. another fraction for us to practice. 5a times negative 4/5 a plus 4. So I have 5 times negative 4/5 would be 5 over 1 times negative 4 over 5. Reduce, reduce, and you get negative 4a squared, because, oh, over here it should have been a squared too. I'm sorry. I missed that. So you can't combine those. And so negative 4a squared plus 20a. And that would be your final answer there.